Speak what is true. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Speak what is true. I am found, I am yours.
So I'll take a few moments to be grounded in the stillness, in the togetherness. And if you are willing, let us all take a moment to offer our own selves as conduits of peace and transformation. In the practice of Tonglen from the Buddhist tradition, we breathe in the suffering of our brothers and sisters in Texas. And we breathe out prayers of comfort and condolences. We breathe in the suffering of our brothers and sisters in Texas, associated with Robb Elementary. Families, neighbors, mothers, fathers, wives, daughters, sons, teachers. We breathe in their suffering. We breathe out compassion and caring, prayers of comfort, in our willingness to be conduits of transformation, of healing. We breathe in the suffering of our brothers and sisters associated with Robb Elementary School for the third time. And we breathe out prayers of comfort, condolences. And if you're willing to be a conduit of peace and transformation, breathe in the suffering of brothers and sisters in other areas of the country, other areas of the world, the people of Buffalo who suffered just 10 days ago, the shooting in the market. We breathe in their suffering. We take it on willingly. And then we exhale. We release it and we exhale prayers of comfort and kindness and compassion. Breathing in the suffering of brothers and sisters in the Ukraine, in the Middle East, in Africa, the suffering of humanity. We breathe it in as a willing conduit of transformation. And we breathe out compassion and caring, comfort, light, peace. The practice of Tonglen from the Buddhist tradition brings us to a place of willingness to serve as a conduit of transformation. So we breathe in the suffering of all the people associated directly or peripherally with the tragedy of Robb Elementary. We breathe in the suffering and we breathe out condolences, compassion, prayers of peace, prayers of transformation. For a moment, just for a moment, breathe in all the anger associated with the horrificness of this being a country that has death by school shooting as the number one reason children die. Breathe in the indignation of that, the anger of that, and then release it, move it out of you, move it out of your system so that you are a pure conduit of love and transformation and compassion and care and kindness and condolences. We pray to be conduits of transformation right where we are, in our homes, in our lives. One final deep breath. All together, all of us together, breathing in the suffering of our brothers and sisters associated, either personally or peripherally, with Rob Elementary, and we breathe out our peace prayers, our compassion, our kindness, our willingness to do whatever it is we can do to be a part of that transformation. So here we are. Mighty companions, trusted kindred spirits, brothers and sisters on this path. What a month this has been. In 10 days we've had 2 mass shootings. And May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And people start talking about the mental health of people who kill. And yet there are those of us who want to look at what it is that we can do to make changes so that it doesn't continue. And so before I get to today's lessons, I want to assure you that we're going to be looking at all aspects of this concern. Political concerns, social concerns, what can we do? Personal concerns. An interesting thing happened. After last week's session, a few people told me that they really resonated with the lesson and they wanted to continue along the theme of forgiveness. So I looked at the forgiveness lessons in our workbook, and there are many. Last week we did 134. Today we're going to do 121 and 122, but there's also 46, 68, 78, and 161, in addition to the 121, 122, and 134. So before we get back to the manual for teachers, I'm going to spend the next few weeks covering these lessons. Forgiveness lessons. So as we integrate the concept of forgiveness into our upset of the last 24 hours and the last 10 days, we have to be reminded of a few things. Came across this quote. Oh, well, first I want to tell you this other thing. This is just one of those divine synchronistic things that occurs whenever I'm thinking about a lesson to do. So this was last Thursday. We had the lesson on 134, and by Saturday, we have seminary day, and my student and a few other people were saying that they really wanted to continue focusing on forgiveness lessons. So I said, okay, that's when I came up with the list of forgiveness lessons to cover for the next few weeks, how to combine them, get through them. And then I got a message in my Gmail saying that I had reached the capacity storage, and I was thinking, oh, I wonder how that happened, because I'm always deleting things. But I had some files. So I started going, I opened my computer and I started going through my files, and it turns out that Gmail keeps a whole lot of stuff that you think you've deleted. I mean, there's like thousands of old messages, and so I'm just trying to find a way to just clear things out. And one of the things I have is a file for the newsletters that I send out. So I found this random newsletter separate from the file, and I thought, well, that's strange, and I was trying to get it into the file because I didn't want to delete it. And it wouldn't like shift, it wouldn't go through the process of moving from an inbox to the file. And I thought, I must be doing something wrong. So let me take a closer look at this. So I shifted from my computer to my phone because I seem to be able to navigate easier on my phone. So I looked to see what this was, this random floating email that was a newsletter, and it was from May 2017. And here's how it starts. Dear beloved spiritual community, Lesson 121 in A Course in Miracles tells us that forgiveness is the way to peace and happiness. This was like 3 days after I had decided that I was going to focus on lessons 121 and 122 today. So, by no mistake, divinely ordered, divinely intervened into my email cleansing process. I get this email from 17, 18, 19, 20, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And this is what I wrote. It says, here we have a reminder that no obstacle is too big for the spiritual warrior. No battle of the ego, no challenge disguised as betrayal or cruelty or any other bump on the sacred path can invade the heart that has chosen peace. And yet, we're invaded, our hearts are invaded with other things other than peace. Because we have not reached the level of awakening, awareness, and enlightenment that allows us to have peace and complete and total unreactive peace to things like the shooting and killing of children. We have not achieved that yet. These are lofty goals that we know that somewhere, in spite of everything that's happening, that there is a place that we can get to, even if it's just for a moment, even if it's when we're doing these Tonglen meditations, so that we can provide love, peaceful prayers, peaceful comfort somehow, so we can have the strength to do whatever it is that we need to do, even if it's just on a local, rational, materialistic level. Like vote, become part of legislation, whatever it is that we can do on a practical, material, earthbound level. And again, it's not easy. It is a process of undoing the ego's attachment to hurt and anger and any other obstacles to peace. We may harbor memories about having been treated quite poorly by someone who in the ego's world is characterized as mean, narcissistic, heartless, stonewalling, gaslighting. In the ego world, that person should apologize, should show up on bloody knees, bearing gifts and begging for forgiveness. But in the purified heart, that person is already forgiven and seen as a wounded child of God in need of healing, in need of love, and seen as a reflection of something inside us that calls out for kindness and compassion and love. Forgiveness and love are the master keys that unlock all blocks to happiness, to peace, to transformation. So how do we do that? How do we do that when we're in a true upset? We've been asking ourselves that for months, and we keep coming back to the fact that we have to rely on our inner spiritual resources. When Pam died, when another friend of mine died, when we hear about the things that occur in this world, when I got news of 2 more friends who are in the process of dying, it is constantly a challenge to our spirit. And in a very practical mental health perspective, it's a challenge to our nervous systems. So we're constantly being challenged and asked, well, where are my resources and what are the resources that I have to rely on? And it's not going to come from some magical intervention. It's going to come from us integrating our spiritual life with our emotional growth and our practical interaction with the world. And so we do what we can, where we can, how we can. We look to see how can I affect change on a practical level, perhaps it's a political level, a social level, but at the same time, maintaining my dedication and my integrity and my commitment to not falling into the trap of anger and retaliation, but continuously looking at what it is that I can do to affect change on a positive level. In all aspects of life. In all aspects of our life. Because you know what? On a grander scheme, there's so much we don't know. The Course in Miracles always tells us, I know nothing. I know what nothing is for. And if I'm not using it for the transformation of my own heart, for the spiritual growth of the spiritual warrior to achieve that pose of determination, the warrior pose, I just got more work to do. Here's a quote by Albert Einstein. Whoever sets himself up as the judge of truth and knowledge is shipwrecked by the laughter of the gods. Because we just don't know. What we know is that in our own little corner of self, trying to connect to the larger brotherhood, sisterhood of ultimate self, we're not going to do any good by maintaining a mindset of anger and blame. We have to come back to a place of peace so that from that place of peace, we can be the transformation conduits. We can do whatever it is that we can do from a place of peace, not from anger, not from feeling like there's nothing left, certainly not from despair. I'm wearing these Rudraksha beads. You might be familiar with these. Rudraksha beads are from the Hindu tradition. The stories, there's a couple of different folklore type stories about the Rudraksha beads. I'm going to tell you the one that I'm most familiar with. It's about Lord Shiva. Now, in Hinduism, there's a trinity, just like there is in Christianity. And one of my former students was here. I was going to say, now, who are they? But I won't do that to you. It's Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma. And Shiva, the story goes, in ancient times, looked at the inhumanity of man to his fellow humans. And Shiva cried at the inhumanity. And the tears of Shiva fell to the ground and created seeds that grew the Rudraksha tree. And so people wear Rudraksha as the willingness to be in a heightened sense of awareness of our tendency to move toward inhumane type ways. Maybe you don't think personally, but as a human race, these are ancient concerns. And here we are, years and years and years into what's considered modern time. And there's still so much inhumane activity. There's so much hurt among humanity. So, like, what's that all about? What's that all about? Well, the Course in Miracles tells us that the only way this is going to heal, we see it in chapter 26. It says, the holiest places of all spots on earth is where an ancient hatred becomes a present love. And come quickly to the living temple where a home can be set up, and there is no place in heaven holier. There is no place in heaven holier. The holiest place is where an ancient hatred has become a present love. So if the ancient hatred exists and is not healed, it carries on for centuries and for generations. And we see things like people just randomly killing each other. We see hatred amongst races in political realms. And if the hatred is built into our social systems and into our political systems, then on a microcosm, it's built into our nervous systems. And so the healing has to be within until we can find a complete and total multifaceted aspect of healing and unity within ourselves. Social, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. We have to work on all those. You can have the best of intentions. You can go into a conversation tender-hearted, open-minded, with the goal of coming to a peaceful, loving resolution. And next thing you know, you go from being Mother Teresa to the Wicked Witch, and you're like, what just happened to me? What just happened to me? I had the best of intentions. I had a tender heart. What happens is that we still are a part of this system of messages that get us triggered, get us upset, have us forgetting what our original intention was. So if we can do that on just a small individual level, if we can just focus on the healing of that instead of worrying about what anybody else is doing or blaming and shaming, we can just focus on ourselves and do the healing. then that healing and that blessing, that growth can move out into humanity. One person at a time, one mind at a time, joined up with the next mind and the next mind and the next heart and the next heart. In the meantime, what do we do? What do we do about things like Robb Elementary? Did you guys notice it's Robb Elementary? It's spelled the same as Pam Robb, R-O-B-B. Same spelling. Robb Elementary. So some of us were a little triggered around here about that. Yep. So on a practical manifestation level, and on just like our earthly concerns, we do practical things. Vote, get involved with legislative issues or community issues. Send funds, send supplies, whatever it is we can do. But on a spiritual level, on an emotional level, we are responsible for the healing and the change within ourselves. And that's what we have to focus on. That's what we have to do. That's what we have to be committed to. Just breathing in the realization that the world is hurting right now. The country is hurting right now. States are hurting, communities are hurting. We are hurting, our hearts are hurting. And so we breathe in that suffering and we ask our entire self if it's willing to be a conduit of change, a conduit of healing. Hopefully you're all saying yes to that. We're just going to strive for our personal best. So let's look at lesson 121. All of that as a preface to our two lessons for tonight. God bless the people. God bless the people of that area of Texas and Robb Elementary and the people of Buffalo and the people of Ukraine and all the people suffering in this world. And for our own selves, our own small S self connecting to the big S self, understanding that we're a part, our nervous systems are a part of that global nervous system that has affected us. So it's not like we're just going to get up in the morning and say, oh, none of this matters, because it does. It is going to matter. It is going to matter. But we still have to do our work. We still have to do our work. Our own personal dedication to transformation on our own spiritual, personal best. So lesson 121 says, forgiveness is the key to happiness. Now, if you were with me last week, I talked about how forgiveness is this, this quantum physics tool. We have goals. We have goals. We just talked about some of the goals is to find our own peace, our own healing, so that we can then be the conduit of peace and healing for humanity. And so we do that. And we think about how it is that we can just make these dedications. How can we be finding our transformation if we don't have the tools to do it? Well, the tool is forgiveness. The tool is in our spiritual toolbox. The tool is forgiveness. So it says, here is the answer to your search for peace. Here is the key to meaning in a world that seems to make no sense. Exactly. That's exactly right. This world makes no sense. Yesterday made no sense. 10 days ago made no sense. Pam's death made no sense. The Course is telling us all the time, this whole world makes no sense. This is the insane asylum of the universe, right here. So we do our part. How do we do our part? By transforming our hearts. How do we transform our hearts? By using the tools that have been given us. And one of the tools is forgiveness. Here is the way to safety in apparent danger that appears to threaten you at every turn and brings uncertainty to all your hopes of ever finding quietness and peace. Here are all questions answered. Here is the end of all uncertainty. All uncertainty. Whenever the Course talks about uncertainty, it reminds me of the Kabbalistic process of injecting certainty. In Kabbalah, they say that the level of transformation that you're searching won't occur until you inject certainty into the process. I am so certain, certainty beyond faith, beyond trust. I am completely convinced that this is what I'm going to do. This is what I need to do. And this is what I'm capable of doing. So it's saying to inject certainty into the process, to say that with certainty, I find peace, and with peace, I become peace, and by becoming peace, I extend peace. And by extending peace, I join with others who are also dedicated to peace. Forgiveness is acquired. It is not inherent in the mind. That it's not, it just doesn't come that naturally to us when we're triggered. When this nervous system that we've inherited gets triggered and activated, it's hard to just suddenly say, oh, well, I'm going to feel peace. You're not going to feel it if it's not a process of you undoing whatever it was that caused you to feel unpeaceful in the first place. It has to be an undoing, it has to be an awareness, and a deconstruction of the ego. The perspective that came before the reaction. It's so subtle. It's so subtle. Because sometimes we think we're reacting without a belief system. But you know what? The belief system is instilled in there first. And so, if it's not something we believed in or thought of, we wouldn't be reacting to it. So once we have that level of introspection within ourselves and realize, oh, this is why I have this reactivity, this is what I want to heal, and once I heal this, then I can come from a deeper, more peaceful place. Oh, that's some work to do, right? That's some work to do because we have to have an awareness and we have to have a willingness. And we also have the compassion for ourselves because sometimes our brain just goes off and running and we're like, whoa, where'd I go? Reel it back in. I need to have a little talk with myself. So it's acquired. Forgiveness is acquired. It's a learned skill. But you learn it because you want to learn it. It's kind of like changing your diet, changing the way you eat. If you are eating poorly, if you're eating fried chicken and french fries and fried foods, and you're thinking, well, this isn't good for me, I probably need to change my diet, you need to know what it is that's going to be better for you. So you need to look for that. What's better for your system? What's better for your blood type? Whatever it is that works for you, you have to find out what it is. And then you have to be willing to do it. You want to go to the store and buy different things? You want to come home and eat different things? Same thing. Same thing with the dedication we have to our healing. We have to be aware of it, we have to research it, we have to look at it, we have to be willing to look at ourselves, honestly, rigorously, honest, and then get back to our practices, get back to our spiritual practices. It is acquired. It is an acquired skill. You have to want to forgive. You have to. You have to want to. Because if you don't, you won't. And you'll hold on to your upset, you'll hold on to your resentment, and you'll end up feeling more hurt within yourself, and you'll be one of those peoples on the Facebook commentaries, putting in your 2 cents. It's not very nice, it's like your anger stuff, and it's like, why do we need that? We don't. What we need is peace. What we need is inner peace. So we practice learning to forgive. We forgive ourselves first. If we're willing, we can learn to take the key to happiness and use it on our own behalf first, so we can then use it on the behalf of others. We take periods of time to think about the people that we don't like, that we haven't forgiven, that we still have resentments of, people who irritate us, who cause regret in us. Because maybe we think, oh, I wasted my time. Because we think that person is the reason I wasted my time. And instead of blessing the time, acknowledging the time, look at what you learned. So think about those people that irritate you, that you have regrets about, that if you meet them, you might feel anger or even hate, or merely just try to overlook them and ignore them because you don't want to face what you feel. It doesn't matter what form your anger takes, you probably have already chosen this person. It says it right here. You probably have already chosen this person, and that person will do. It says, now close your eyes and see that person in your mind. Try to perceive some light in him somewhere. Just dig deep and see the light. Even if it's just a little gleam, just a little little gleam. Try to find some spark of brightness shining through the ugly picture that you had before. Look at this picture till you see light within that person, within yourself, and within the picture. And try to let this light extend until it covers him completely and make the picture beautiful and good. And then you know what? Step into it and join him or her there. And then see if your perception of that person has changed. And now you can call this person your friend. Try to transfer the light you learned to see around your former enemy and see them as a friend. Perceive him now as more than a friend, for in that light his holiness shows you that he's actually your Savior. Why? Because it's through this practice that you were able to transform your vision and find a shift in your heart. Find that you can indeed feel love where you once felt hate. The holiest place on earth is where an ancient love becomes a present day. Ancient hate becomes a present day love. Where there once was hate, you're doing the transformation and you're seeing that you can love this person instead. Might take a couple tries, for a couple years. But forgiveness is the key to happiness. I will awaken from the dream. Awaken from the dream that you thought that you were bad or they were bad or you were wrong or they were wrong. It's hard to keep that in context when you start thinking in terms of the more horrific global things that are out there. But remember that just for today, just for tonight, we're just going to focus within. We're just looking at what it is that we bring to the energy, to the time together, to the table of brothers and sisters working toward transformation, working toward being conduits of peace. Lisa?
740.
Oh, okay, thank you. Lesson 122 says forgiveness offers everything I want. Because what it's saying is that this is the tool that will be like a key that unlocks the door to your ability to rise higher, pray harder, rise higher, love steadily, forgive readily. This is the key. And so it offers everything you want because on the other side of that locked door is peace, deep peace. The peace from which you want to stand, the foundation that will allow you to be a conduit of peace, a peacemaker, a transformation-minded spiritual warrior, compassionate responder, instrument of peace. It says, do you want happiness? A quiet mind, a certainty of purpose, a sense of worth and beauty that transcends the world and transforms the world? Do you want care and safety and warmth of sure protection? Do you want a quietness that cannot be disturbed, a gentleness that can never be hurt, a deep abiding comfort and rest so perfect that it can never be upset? All this forgiveness offers you. All this. It sparkles on your eyes as you awaken and gives you joy with which to meet the day. It soothes your forehead while you sleep and rests upon your eyelids so you no longer dream of fear and evil and malice and attack. And when you wake up, it offers you another day of happiness and peace. All this forgiveness offers you. Forgiveness lifts the veil to be lifted that hides the face of Christ from those who look with unforgiving eyes upon the world. It lets you recognize the brother or the sister that you see there to clear your memory of all other thoughts. Forgiveness lets you lift the veil that hides the face of Christ. All this and more forgiveness gives you. So once again, let's take a nice deep breath in together. Breathe in the suffering of our brothers and sisters associated with Robb Elementary. and breathe out our willingness to be peaceful conduits, to be transformers of the sadness, the heartaches, to be transformers of the minds that would kill, the minds that would hurt. Let us be transformers of those minds. Let us see those minds changing. Let us see those rules changing. Let us see the transformation change that needs to be done in order for our world to be more peaceful. Let us be conduits of that. Breathe in the suffering of our brothers and sisters. Breathe out peace. Breathe in compassion for your own self, your own nervous system, your own mind, your own heart, your own upset. Breathe in comfort for yourself today. Breathe out gratitude that you have this within you. This power of transformation to do better, be better, love readily, forgive steadily. It's in you. It's within you. Prayers of comfort for all of you, for all of them. Our end song tonight, I want to tell you a little bit about before I play it. As I said earlier, this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and this song is called Testify to Love by Winona and Naomi Judd. And Naomi Judd suffered greatly with mental illness and killed herself earlier this month. And this song meant so much to me and means so much to me because it's the last song that was played for my graduating class back in June 2000. I'm going on 22 years now. I'm going on my 22nd year anniversary. We had our second year retreat, and the next morning we would be getting up to walk down the aisle to get ordained at St. John the Divine in New York. And a lot of us were nervous and scared and feeling unworthy. And our dean said to us, just go out and testify to love. Just go out and be love, be kindness, be peace. Testify to love by who you are and how you are, how you show up in this world. And so it's sort of bittersweet, this song for me tonight, because I want to dedicate it to the families, the children, the people of Texas associated with Robb Elementary, to my friends locally who are associated with Pam Robb, and to Naomi Judd and to all other people suffering from mental illness. And to all of us who continue to show up day after day, week after week, hour after hour. Just testify to love. That's all you need to do. And yeah, enjoy the song, but hang out for our closing words.
This is our every dream that reaches out to find the love begins. Every word of every story, every star in every sky, every corner of creation lives to testify. For as long as I shall live, I will testify in love, be a witness in the silences of words that not enough. With every breath I take, we'll give thanks to God above. For as long as I shall live, I will testify in love. From the mountains to the valley, rivers to the sea,
It brings back so many memories, and it also reminds me of the importance of what we're here to do, to testify to love, not to anger, not to anything that will increase the difficulties that occur. Thank you for all those hearts. Thank you so much. And I want to end with two statements. One is by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, and he said, "If we could read the secret histories of our enemies, we would find in each person's life sorrow and suffering enough to disarm all hostility." And from Alan Cohen, "We keep enemies by not looking at them. The moment we look into the eyes or the heart of one we call an enemy, we recognize ourselves." So let's testify to love. Let's breathe in all the willingness that we can muster to be transformers of inhumanity until we know and are certain and feel so capable of bringing peace into the world by starting with ourselves, by bringing peace right here, right now. God bless you. See you next week.